All right, welcome everybody back to the channel. It is me, OC Steve, and I'm invited by a long friend, an alumni of Santino Brothers Wrestling.
Oh, yeah.
That is AKA the man of many monikers. It goes by Jefferson Alonzo Greene. He is a father who helps out his son hating anime on a daily basis.
Indeed.
He jabs, he trashes. He is AKA Mr. Jefferson Alonzo Greene himself joining on the channel. Thanks for coming on.
Thank you for having me. I don't know. There's so many names and so many random things that I do, but I think the common theme in all of them is hate. All right. I do love certain things, but I hate even better. So whether it's hating on anime, hating on certain aspects of the pro wrestling game, or even hating on comic books and movies, I'm pretty damn good at hate, but I'm also good at showing love when love is deserved. So you brought me on this show to do both. So what are we talking about today?
I think we both kind of have a mutual disdain for a certain program in Jacksonville on Wednesday nights. I
Yes,
think
we do.
That's a common ground that we both share. So I think the one thing we wanted to do is present alternatives. Originally, AEW was supposed to be an alternative to what Vince McMahon was trying to offer to everybody. And Cody was trying to originally say that it was going to be an alternative to Vince McMahon's product. It was even going to be an alternative to NXT in itself. And I don't really think they've delivered on that almost 2 years into it.
I don't think there's any question or mystery about it. I mean, look, I have a love-hate relationship with AEW. And the reason why is because, number one, it gives a lot of wrestlers, people I know, people I appreciate, people I love and wish good, wonderful, successful wishes for, are happy, healthier, and richer because of AEW. So in that regard, I love them. But when it comes to the actual product, the booking of the product, and the entertainment value of the product, it ain't nothing but hate. And the hate comes because they did not live up to their expectations. I don't know if people know this, Steve. If they watch the videos, they'll make me a fan. If they watch the videos back in the day, the whole damn reason why I went to Santino Brothers Wrestling School, the whole damn reason that I even talk about wrestling on social media, on YouTube, on Instagram, is because of AE freaking W and because of you, Steve. Because you brought me into the fold and told me about this wonderful new product of AEW. You who went to Double or Nothing in Las Vegas. You who had a freaking front row seat. You were the one that was so excited about this AEW thing that you sucked me into your excitement and you made me want to care.
Into this nexus, this vortex, if you will, of wrestling. It's like The Godfather 2. You were drawn out of it for a minute, and then you got drawn in, and you got drawn in even further. You're in the eye of the black hole right now, to the point where you decided to take it to that next level by going into the advocacy school with Santino's.
Yeah, but think about this for a second, because they pulled me into this thing. And Steve, you know this. I'm not good at watching. I always want to be a part of the show, which is how the whole Santino's thing happened. But more importantly, I saw AEW as what you just said. The key word is alternative. Not just alternative, but they also said sports-based. And I thought, okay, this is going to be fan-freaking-tastic. This is going to be everything we said we wanted out of wrestling. This is not going to be the soap opera on Raw or the stupid melodrama on SmackDown. This is going to be real, gritty, hard-hitting, factual, reality-based, as much as reality can be in a worked environment, okay, where wins and losses matter. Women were going to be equal to men. Dogs and cats playing together. It was going to be everything you ever wanted, and they just dropped the ball in an astronomical way. And I don't know, like, I said this on one of the Make Me a Fan videos with Pete. I said, you know, when I watch a Young Bucks match, and Young Bucks kind of embody all of AEW. When I watch a Young Bucks match, I have to turn off my brain. I have to watch it with the Fast and Furious rule. And I don't know if you saw that clip, but I said Fast and Furious, all the physics and laws and laws of reality go out the window in a Fast and Furious movie. It's a 6-speed gear shift. They shift that sucker 28 times in a quarter-mile race.
Or even like Hobbs and Shaw, where you just got to take the reality out of everything, and you go, a motorcycle can't contort that way, but okay, we're going to go with it. And apparently people with traditional tribal weapons are going to be able to take on mercenaries at the end of this climactic movie.
I never finished that movie. I watched a lot of it, but I never finished it because it just got so ridiculous. I haven't seen Fast and Furious 8 or 7 or 8, I don't think. I had to leave it alone because, you know, remember the one, you remember this, we're getting off topic a little bit, but they're like racing the train. And then they get on top, they're going to go off the cliff. They get on top of the car and then they drive off this cliff. And it's 300 feet or whatever. And they're just like surfing on the hood. And as they get close to water, they jump and they're just fine. As if gravity doesn't exist, right? Like And there's all they're whipping, they're doing slingshots where they're hooking on to grappling hooks and swinging around mountains. Like it's impossible. It's not real. Is it entertaining visually? Yeah. Is it kind of engaging to watch? Like, damn, what's going to happen? We know he's going to live, right? We know they're not going to die because there's going to be 10 more movies, right? But I'm watching the Young Bucks matches the exact same way, where I'm like, this makes absolutely no sense. If you hit a dude with a chair 3 times, he ain't getting up, right?
Or nobody's hit him once in that sweet spot. That's it. He's out. Good night,
dude. Here, perfect example, Steve. If you hit a dude once, watch UFC. Do you watch UFC at all? Have you watched UFC at all lately?
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah.
Derek Lewis. He's a big dude, big, strong, black heavyweight. He's killing him. He's got like the knockout record in all of UFC for a heavyweight. He hits a dude with one good shot. The dude's asleep. He's knocked out. It's over. You hit a dude with one solid knee, one solid elbow, anything that lands clean, and the fight's freaking over. But when you're watching AEW, the dude will get hit with a freaking sledgehammer, and he just gets up. A dude will get hit with 10 chairs, and he gets up. You pick
something
a dude
as crazy as like a Canadian destroyer, which back in the day, that used to be like the ultimate finishing move of a match. Now they do like 8 of them, and you're like, my ability to dissuspend myself and watch it only goes so far, to the point where you go back in your head and you're sitting there and you're going, you know what, this is just too far-fetched. I want something that has some semblance of athleticism, that's based and grounded in something that I can enjoy and watch and have competition. There's stakes on the line, that there's something that's competitive about the nature. We all kind of like that tournament, that format and storytelling in wrestling, where it's literally like your Mortal Kombat or your Enter the Dragon. You have everybody start out on an even playing field, and then the stakes eventually get more risky and higher with these single eliminations. And that's the kind of stuff that I enjoy. I mean, WWE, case in point, when you do King of the Ring, you kind of have that. In New Japan, they're about to start that with the New Japan Cup. It's a single elimination tournament where the winner gets to pick whoever they want. Then challenge for whatever title they want.
Isn't the G1 a tournament too?
Yeah, and but that's point based. It's so this is like, you win a win in the New Japan Cup, you get it. You keep on advancing. If you lose, you're out. So
they tried that with the stupid TNT Championship, right? Which was terrible, because we all knew who was going to win, and we all knew how it was going to go. I mean, please believe me, check out the Jag videos. I crossed my fingers and prayed that Lance Archer would win. Of course he didn't, because he's over 5 foot freaking 9, and you can't win a belt in AEW if you're over 5'9", okay? But it's a crappy tournament when you already know who's going to win, and you pretty much already know how. And then when guys are getting hit with sledgehammers and chairs and getting run over by cars and getting kidnapped and all the other craziness they're doing that doesn't matter from week to week. Like I just said on a recent jab with the Marco Stunt thing, like they kidnapped Marco Stunt,
and he was just there.
the next week he's just there. He's like, "How you doing, guys?"
They don't explain like how he tricked them. They don't show any backstage footage to kind of justify it. They literally take you out of it. Like, if you didn't watch it, it didn't happen. Tough luck. Thanks for your time.
And that is the problem. And that, my friend, is why I hate you and love you all at the same time. And I'm going to tell you why. And I don't know if the people are ready for this, because we're going to talk about Ring of Honor and some other stuff in a second. But I love and hate you all at the same time for this reason and this reason alone. Whenever we talked about AEW, whenever we talked about any new wrestling that was coming up, whatever, you told me, oh, you got to watch this. Oh, you got to watch that. Oh, you don't know who that is? You got to watch this, which was the whole basis for making me a fan. Show me the crap I need to know in order to be a modern day wrestling fan with this new AEW thing. That was the freaking format. That was the original idea, the concept, and the whole driving force behind Make Me a Fan. But the problem, Steve, the problem is you sucked me in to something that never should exist. I should be able to turn that crap on any given Wednesday and understand and care who the hell I'm watching. So when some short little man with pink hair shows up and does the worst go to sleep you ever saw in your life, I should know who he is. Instead, I have Excalibur yelling at me saying, well, that's so-and-so scratch and sniff. He's from blah, blah, blah. And you're like, what? Who? And now I got to go do homework. Dude, I don't want to do homework when I watch wrestling. I want you to show me big, giant Lance Archer hates big, giant freaking Luchasaurus, and they're going to fight, and it's going to be great. And when one of them hits a really big, powerful, devastating move, the fight's going to be over. But instead, we got thumbtacks, barbed wire, baseball bats, hockey sticks, microphones, you name it. I saw a meme that says if Moxley wanted to, or if Kenta wanted to win in the New Japan tournament, he needed to have a microphone. All you had to do is hit him with a microphone, and it would be over. because Moxley never stays down unless Don Callis hits him with a microphone. Then he's knocked out for 10 weeks. You know, and it's like,
don't you know John Moxley can't be killed by conventional weapons?
I guess so. The microphone's like the silver bullet.
Yeah.
It's like the garlic.
That is a special blessed microphone that was taken to the lake of Minnetonka in Minnesota.
For real. Draped in holy water from Prince and the new power generation. And the only way you're going to survive is to bash him in the head with the microphone.
And he has to hit the right spot too. So it's like kind of like the Hobbit. You got to aim at this one part of the dragon's underbelly with the scale.
Yeah, I like that.
And he's done.
Good job. I like that one. You know what's funny though? It's like I listen to Cornette all the time, and I don't know if you listen to Cornette, but he hates that Moxley doesn't sell. He hates that Moxley doesn't stay down. When guys are mobbing him, what was the Good Brothers, whatever, they're stomping the piss out of this guy, and he just keeps getting up. 6'10", whatever his name is, Gallows or Anderson, whichever one the hell he is, it's just putting the boots to him. I didn't watch it. Cornette's, recalling this. They kicked him, they stomped him, they slammed him, they punched him, and the guy just kept getting up. And I think finally one of the Good Brothers held him down for a second,
it took like a whole dog pile of people to take out one guy.
And here's the thing, Steve, and I know your answer to this question, but for the people watching at home, is that entertaining?
No.
Like, do you think, wow, that John Moxley's really a badass because 4 dudes are whooping his ass and he just keeps getting up? That's why he's my hero. No.
Well, you come from outside of the world of wrestling. You have some mixed martial art background. You have some military expertise. So you know that kind of when you have to advertise a guy as being the toughest guy in the room, he's usually probably not the toughest guy in the room. If he has to have a hype man sitting on the side, like, don't mess with him. Yeah. You poke that stick, you're going to get destroyed.
Yeah, true.
It's kind of like the other hat that I wear coming from the world of hockey. Like, it's synonymous. If anybody's wearing the Violent Gentleman Hockey Club, they're probably not that violent.
Really? Okay, I didn't know that. But I know that hockey has enforcers.
Yeah, but if you're if you're kind of like an enforcer and you're wearing Violent Gentleman, everybody knows that guy's gonna be easy.
Really?
You're gonna be able to steamroll him, no problem.
But here's the thing, man. We've been crapping on AEW for a little while. But you told me when you invited me on this episode of your show, you said, hey, man, I want to talk about alternatives to AEW because people like us, hundreds of thousands of people every week watch this show or at least hear people talk about the show or read the results and say, this is trash. That there's been 6 or 7 kidnappings in the last 10 weeks. I think Sting...
We watched a dinosaur lose his mask to go on some 30-minute Monday YouTube program to regain his mask and hang out with a panda, and now he's going to go attack Lance Archer.
And how many people have gotten their hair cut or shaved and since AEW began? It's like, this is recycled booking. It's terrible booking. And then the matches, dear God, exploding barbed wire death match. That means we don't know what the hell we're doing.
We're getting more, as I affectionately call it, double dare matches. Matches that are like Nickelodeon Guts, where they're going to fight each other on the side of a fictional mountain that has random stuff on it with random gimmicks. I mean, we already saw a Pool of Tang with that Mimosa Nickelodeon stuff, but
what's left? I mean, seriously, they have not built any worthwhile feuds. Just like we said in the, if you haven't listened to it, I recommend you listen to the latest issue of the Jim Cornette Experience, where he talks about the Meltzer Awards, the Pro Wrestling Observer Awards, because they're like feud of the year, Moxley versus Kingston. Eddie Kingston is prolific and gifted. I met the man, I shook his hand. I said, you are amazing on the microphone. You got intensity. I love you. So nothing against Kingston, because I think he's great. But that feud wasn't crap. They went at each other a couple weeks and then
they talked twice on the mic and then they went at it.
And then Moxley choked him out with the most mediocre choke I ever saw in my life. And I'm just like, really, dude? That wasn't a feud. A feud is something like the Mega Powers explode. You know what I mean?
Or something that goes on for a good chunk of a year.
6 months, 7 months, 8 months.
Even going back in the Wayback Machine, when I originally showed you Kenny Omega versus Kazuchika Okada, that was something that was built over the course of almost 2 years for Kenny to win that belt.
I didn't appreciate the feud. I watched the match, but I didn't appreciate the feud. But you're telling me 2 years? I believe you, because New Japan places value on storytelling.
Yeah,
they place value on getting you to care. The thing about AEW is what they're the potato chips of the wrestling world, because you don't care. You're just munching them down, and then they're gone.
You're going into the wrestling gas station. You're picking up what's the easiest thing to get. It's right there. It's a jump in, jump out, no problem. You know that everything's going to be kind of self-contained on a Wednesday night. But the thing that I was inviting you on about to discuss is they don't really have anything that is original programming to themselves. You look at, like, case in instance, Impact Wrestling, which I know you've watched a good chunk of. You and Pete have covered a lot of videos discussing that. And one of the things that is synonymous with Impact, and it's a title that's original, it's their own birth child, is the X Division.
Yes. Preach it, Steve. Preach it. So the X Division Championship is one of the greatest belts in the history of all belts. I had no idea until, Pete showed me the X Division Championships. Actually, I just retweeted something about the best three-way matches for the X Division Championship, and that one with what's my man, SCU, Christopher Daniels, Samoa Joe, and AJ freaking Styles was one of the most amazing matches ever put on film, ever put on, period. But the story was there too. We cared who was going to win because we cared about the stakes and we cared about the personalities involved. If you're fighting just to fight, if it's, like I said on my last jab, I said, why does Team Taz hate Darby Allin?
Well, when everybody's shades of gray, you need a penultimate heel, you need a penultimate face. You need that one guy that will never falter. You can look at it, whether people like him or not. John Cena was that kind of Captain America figure. He was the guy during the late 90s, the early aughts, that was literally saying your prayers, eating your vitamins.
And take it back further. Austin, take it back even further. Hogan, take it back, And then who was Hogan's nemesis, right? Or who was Austin's nemesis? Well, you had The Rock, You had Taker, but his number one nemesis was who? Vince freaking McMahon, His
own boss.
And who is Moxley raging against? Who's he going up against? Who are any of these people like Sting? I said Sting. Why does Sting like Darby Allin? Because they both wear makeup?
But the thing is, when you have these shades of gray, you don't have a hero. You don't have somebody that can be a face to your brand, literally pun intended, where you can be a face and you can go on TV and you can sell this product and you can hold that belt and you could be the good guy. You can be that inspiration for young kids and be that good voice and cheer for it. And it doesn't even have to be a guy. It could be a woman as well in that same regard.
Here's the problem though. The problem with that idea is that you're thinking about bringing in new fans. You're thinking about attracting new fans and people who can see the face of the product and say, hey, I want to check that out. Like a Hogan, like an Austin, like a John Cena. People will see John Cena and all of his rainbow colored Skittles wristbands and whatever and go, oh, that guy's buff. Who is that guy? And you want to check it out. Or The Rock talks some trash. You go, wow, that guy's a jerk. Let me see what this guy, I hope he gets his ass beat. Whatever it is. But the problem with AEW, and I've said this before, and you've said this before, is they don't care about new casual fans. AEW has a problem, and I don't know what I called it last time, but it's like the cool kids wrestling, right? CKW, right? Cool kids wrestling, where they all look at you and say, it's fake, wink, wink. I can't wink with my right eye, sorry. It's fake, and we know it, so we're just going to put on a show, and you don't have to believe any of this crap. Just be entertained. And so then they wink, wink, it's fake. Guys, check it out. Wink, wink. You already know it's fake. So we're going to appeal to you fans, you insider fans, the cool kids, if you will. And then you're going to defend it because you feel like you're part of the cool kids. I did this the last time, the little, you're in the circle of friends. Oh, I know Thunder Rosa.
In the inner circle?
The inner circle, indeed. Yeah. I mean, real talk. If I said, hey, Danny, I know Danny Limelight. He's a good dude. We're not close, but I've met him a few times. We interviewed him on the channel, whatever. And I want Danny Limelight to succeed. I think he's freaking fantastic. He's prolific. He's gifted. He's all the things you ever want in a wrestler, okay? So when I see Danny Limelight's ass on TV and I see him wrestling anybody in AEW, I'm rooting for the guy. Win, lose, or draw, have a great match, showcase what you can do, and hopefully you get more eyeballs on you and your stock rises and eventually you get the chance to carry some gold. That's my wish for Danny freaking Limelight. But when I watch a Danny Limelight match, and I see they're doing all these flips and dips and nobody sells and nobody stays down. Danny sells. Danny stays down because he knows what the hell he's doing. But his opponents are popping up after, Canadian Destroyers and Hurricane Ranas and top rope freaking Swantons. And I'm just like, yo, let it breathe. Give it a second. And that's not because I'm not hating on Danny. I want Danny to succeed. But I'm looking at the match and looking at the story they're telling and I'm going, let it breathe. Give it a chance. Let us buy into it. And if you get hit with the flying double knee, what if a meteor off the top rope, stay your ass down. Because one good right hand is going to put everybody to sleep, including me. If you hit me square in the jaw, I'm going night-night, probably for a while, okay? If you take your big ass, and I'm even bigger than you, so I'm not talking trash, all right? And jump off the top rope with 2 knees in my chest or 2 knees to my head, brother, you better call the ambulance. But these fools just kick out and grab a barbed wire baseball bat and, kidnap a mofo. You know what I mean? It's like, it's ridiculous. So what will save us? What will cleanse the palate from this All Friends Wrestling, from this CKW, this Cool Kids Wrestling, where we all feel like we're part of the show, but we're really not. What can you recommend to me, a disgruntled wrestling fan that needs something to cleanse the palate from Dave Meltzer and Pal's BS Wrestling Alliance? Help me, Steve.
And my alternative would be what just recently came back in Ring of Honor. This last part of the summer, late end of the year, they brought back the Pure Tournament, something that is an original product, very similar, kind of akin to Impact's Wrestling X division, where it has its own rules. It was a single man elimination tournament, and I was going to probably just go over that briefly and just kind of describe what it was with you.
Well, I watched the first couple episodes of it, and I was highly entertained. Now, I want to hear your take on it. So as you get your notes and your stuff together, please enlighten a brother, because I want to know from an insider, maybe you have more background on this than I do, because I know the Pure Championship existed a few years back, and now it's back. And even in a freaking pandemic, even with no virtual fans or screens surrounding the ring, I still was entertained, I still was bought in, and I still gave a crap about who won or who lost. But also the format and the rules and the execution of the rules appealed to me, but I don't want to step on your toes or say anything you're planning on saying. So tell me what you think, and what was your mindset when it came to the Pure Championship? You saw the whole thing, right? You watched the whole tournament.
I watched the whole tournament, so I'll give you kind of a brief synopsis of the history of it, and we'll go through the rules a little bit and just kind of break it down.
Sure.
So this, this was a tournament or a title for that matter, that was created in 2004. And speaking of people that were of Impact alumni, its first champion was AJ Styles, and who he defeated was CM Punk to become the first Pure champion.
Nice, good stuff.
Some other people that have held the belt along its long lineage has been Samoa Joe, Jay Lethal, and Nigel McGuinness. In 2006. The title was pretty much merged with the ROH World Heavyweight Championship when Bryan Danielson, the American Dragon, aka Daniel Bryan, defeated McGuinness to unify the titles.
Okay, very cool. I know all those names.
So we'll break down some of the rules. Obviously, these are just pretty much every match begins and ends with the Code of Honor handshake.
I like that.
So they dig that, kind of that traditional kind of fighter beginning thing where you shake each other's hands before anything goes on.
And not only that, because what Pete was telling me, we're watching some Ring of Honor and the Code of Honor. If you didn't shake a hand, or if you didn't abide by those rules, you were considered, I guess, dishonorable. I don't know what they would call it. But guess what? Now we know who the bad guy is. Now we know who imagine that. Now we have guys that we know. This guy's a good dude. He's willing to shake hands. He's willing to play by the rules. There's other guys spitting in his face, kicks him the jump, gives him the finger. Now we know who the face is and who the heel is. Imagine that. Now we have good and evil. I wonder if that works. Good and bad, entertaining people for the last 1,000 years. I wonder. But I'm sorry. Continue.
And then some other rules that go into it. Each wrestler has a total of 3 rope breaks. To stop a submission, a hold, or a pinfall. After that, a wrestler exhausts his rope breaks. Submission and pin attempts under, normally those rope breaks are considered, they don't count. So you only get 3 rope breaks in a match. So anything after that, you're trying to kick out, you're trying to go for the rope break, no dice, doesn't count.
Yeah.
So other rules are, we want to keep the faces nice. We want to keep them pretty. So no closed punches to the face.
Imagine that, Steve.
I know that. You want to keep your moneymaker good so you can sell those shirts and go cut a backstage promo so it doesn't look like, you're all over swollen and look just
if we're looking at this from an insider perspective, or even just from an outsider perspective, if we want to enhance believability, if we want to maintain this thing called kayfabe, all right? I know that if I walk up to a random guy on the street and punch him square in the eye, if he doesn't go to sleep, his eye's at least going to swell shut. He might even bleed, right? If I punch a guy square in the mouth, I'm knocking out teeth. He's going to bleed, whatever. And so whenever I watched wrestling as a kid, I'll just speak for myself. When I watched wrestling as a kid, I was in 5th grade when I was really deep into wrestling. Me and my boy Matt are watching. They get up on the rope and they do the 10 count. 1, 2, 3, 4. And I was like, how come these dudes don't bleed? And Matt's like, come on, bro, it's fake. I'm like, yeah, but some of it looks really real. And he's like, yeah, but some of it's really fake. And that's when we decided to learn how to do this crap. And we would practice punching each other or coming really close and not making contact to try to sell it. But when you look, and if you learn, and they teach you to do this stuff in wrestling school, how to throw a good working punch, there's light contact, nobody's bleeding, nobody's getting their teeth knocked out, nobody's eyes are getting swollen shut. But from a fan perspective, where I know what it looks like when you get punched in the mouth, if you tell me the rule is no closed fist, now I have so much more believability. Now, if you slap a dude, okay, I've been slapped before. I can keep fighting when I get slapped. If you hit me with the forearm, yeah, forearm stiff, but it's not going to hurt and bust teeth like an elbow or like a fist. So it's more believability. Oh, dear God, even though we know it's worked, you're trying to make me believe. Well, son of a biscuit. Ring of Honor, thank you for not insulting my intelligence the way these clowns down in Jacksonville do. So I'm sorry. The no closed fist rule is near and dear to my heart because I've been punched in the face before. I punched people in the face before, and it don't look like what it looks like on AEW. So I'm sorry. Let's continue.
So punches to other parts of the body are permitted, including elbows. So usually in the case, like if you do a face shot, the ref will give you a 1 warning. The second warning is an immediate disqualification.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I'm sorry, Steve. I hate to interrupt you again, but you just mentioned someone that's very important. As we like to call him, the third man in the ring, the ref, okay? You probably don't think about the refs too often when you're watching AEW because they're just furniture. They're just in there to count the 3 count and tell you the match is over because how many times have they started counting and then they just stop because they're just doing their own thing?
Or they do this crazy flamboyant, like over the top spin when they do the second pin.
That's your girl. You can talk about her some other time. We're not going to get into her. But my point is, when you look at the refs, they don't do their job. Like, okay, when we're wrestling, so we'll call it admonishing, right? Admonishing, a stern warning, whatever. You have to admonish the guys when they break the rules. Hey, stop doing that. One more time and it's over. You know, open that fist up, whatever it is. Hey, don't do that crap. But then if you turn around and just do it 10 more times, the ref's authority is buried. And once again, you've taken me out of the believability of an athletic contest. Because if the ref in UFC says, hey, you hit him low, don't hit him low again, and you turn around and give him the freaking Danielson crane kick to the junk, right? The match is probably over. But AEW, they just kind of turn around and go, they're the EVP, so I guess they can keep doing this. You know what I mean? And it's like, dude, what the hell? So Ring of Honor does not bury the refs. I'm sorry, man. I'm like trying to just co-sign your points because those points are relevant. The refs are important. And if he gives you a warning, you better not do that crap again. And a couple of those matches I watched in the Pure Championship, the ref indeed had the authority. Imagine that. Sorry.
So please, the other kind of standard rules also within the Pure Tournament. Once Pure Tournament, a champion is crowned, the title can exchange hands via disqualification and count out. So that's kind of a given. But during the tournament, they were really stressing any outside interference would result in termination from the roster for that wrestler that interferes.
Wow, there's consequences for the guy that does the run-in, really?
Yeah.
All right, very cool.
So,
I didn't know that part.
So if I'm Vinny Marcellia and, Tyler Bateman shows up and helps me out, bye-bye Bateman.
Job.
Yeah.
Nice. All right, here's a question. If we, well, let me just say this. I'm going to say what I saw, and hopefully you can help me with this. When I watched the Pure Championship and I saw on the match, first of all, we had a time limit. And I think one of the matches did end in a time limit, right? And a time limit draw, or I think there was a way for somebody to have points, right? And the time limit actually mattered, which the time limits don't matter in AEW. They really don't matter in WWE anymore either. But I like there's a time limit. And then you saw like the 3 little indicators of who had rope breaks. And so as the match was going, if you used the rope break, the little light went off, or it changed color or whatever. Yeah. And so you knew, and you could follow along and be involved because you knew if he got him in this whatchamacallit hold and he got to the ropes, you knew that this was his last chance to break the hold, And if only, what's the guy's name, the octopus guy that's married to Jordan Grace?
John Gresham, the current Pure title hold.
Yeah. If he got his ass in one more hold, it's over because he's out of rope breaks. That sucks you in and gives you more believability, right? And you say, okay, he can't do that anymore because he's out of rope breaks. So what's he going to do now? And that is where the suspension of disbelief really comes into play because now you're going, holy crap, what's he going to do? Now, Cool Kids Wrestling, wink, wink. We all know that the winner is predetermined. But as I'm watching this and I see the guy struggling and I know he's out of rope breaks, I'm sucked in. Just like when I watch a Van Damme movie or a Steven Seagal movie, I know he's not really getting kicked in the face, but I'm still sucked in.
Or how is he going to overcome this? How is he going to get out of this?
Exactly. Even though the winner might be predetermined, as we say, right? I still want to know how, right? I'll give you a hint. If you watch a Sherlock Holmes movie, you probably know and anticipate that Sherlock Holmes is going to solve the freaking case. He's going to solve the mystery and he's going to live to see the end credits, right? Because he's Sherlock freaking Holmes. The question is, how? When you watch Star Wars, God forbid, and you watch Rey and The Last Skywalker or whatever, right? And you pretty much know that she's going to survive the movie, right? The dogs are going crazy in my courtyard. I'm sorry. You pretty much know Rey's going to survive the movie. You're just curious how. It's like, I know what's going to happen. Just show me how. And if you want to tell me, oh, it's all fake and nobody cares anyway, then why are they selling millions and millions of tickets to these movies? Why are they selling millions and millions of streams of Cobra Kai and WandaVision and all these other shows? We know the hero's probably going to live to fight another day. So entertain me, right?
We want to see this hero's arc. You want to see adversity and see how they're going to overcome the situation based on the natural skills
arc.
And talent that they have. How are they going to change the situation to their favor? And that's kind of what's neat is because out of the pure tournament, it created a whole new stable. It created the foundation, which are kind of these guys that now are really trying to bring honor, quote unquote, back to Ring of Honor. It's John Gresham, the current pure title holder himself. Jay Lethal,
too, right?
Yeah, him and Jay Lethal are the tag champions. They're really enforcing pure rules for the tag division. Yep. So it creates another interest where they're trying to bring back honor to Ring of Honor. You have Rhett Titus.
Faces want to play by the rules.
Yeah, you got Rhett Titus, who was kind of not necessarily being used. He was kind of there on commentary, being picked, and they drew this natural storyline like, come with us, help us reestablish our honor in Ring of Honor and earn your honor back. So to prove to people that you're worth a damn and that you actually can play by the rules, because he'd been kind of one of those guys that had been this kind of midway heel kind of tweener, if you will. Like he was going back and forth, didn't really have an identity, but they're saying, come with us and help us reestablish honor and Ring of Honor. And then another guy that they found was Tracy Williams, Hot Sauce
Tracy Williams. Yeah.
So that kind of 4 men, if you will.
Well, there's 4. Oh my goodness. That never happened in wrestling before.
I know. Crazy number. Those 4 guys are trying to bring back honor to Ring of Honor and kind of bring order out of chaos and be kind of these heels that are bound by rules and a code of conduct.
So let me do this for a second. I'm going to switch roles here for a second. I'm going to ask you a couple of questions because I need some information. Actually, it's not even that I need information. I want your opinion because I got to go soon, but I want to hear this because I'm curious. I don't watch a lot of Ring of Honor because, I don't know, it just doesn't pop up on my radar. And I think that's probably the case with a lot of people watching this. So why do you think people don't watch Ring of Honor? Or why do you think people avoid it, or I don't know, find it difficult? I don't know. People don't want to pay the $10 a month or whatever.
That was the last question that comes into play when it comes to Ring of Honor. It's not easily accessible. I mean, they are a part of Sinclair Media, but
Access or whatever.
No, they're owned by Sinclair Broadcasting.
Yeah, but aren't they on Access TV? Oh no, Impact's on Access TV.
Yeah, so they don't even have a home network, so it doesn't make it that easy to watch. You have to go on their website, punch in your zip code, and try to find whatever channel. And a lot of the times, if it's on public television, it's like here in Southern California, it's like Saturday night at midnight. So it's actually easier to find it streaming via the Fight app. Yeah. Monday nights around 4:00, they have it there. They have their own streaming service, which is Honor Club. So you can watch it live. A lot of the ROH wrestlers themselves participate with that on Twitter when it drops on the actual Honor Club app.
So what about people like Cornette, right? Who are old school and only seem to care about the big two, WWE and now I guess AEW. Like, what would you say? What's your pitch to watch Ring of Honor? If you could tell Cornette or anybody to watch Ring of Honor right now, how would you say it?
About it. He actually kind of...
He went off on Ring of Honor and how great it was and how entertaining the Pure Championship was. Like, he loved it.
That it was something that was exclusive, it was original, it was creative, and it helps them have a brand identity within this nebulous kind of world where everybody's trying to be a carbon copy of the WWE.
And if you listen to the latest episode of The Experience, when they're talking about the Wrestling Observer Awards, Booker of the Year, of course, Dave gave it to Tony Khan, right? And he's saying, Brian Last asked Cornette, who would you give Booker of the Year? And he says, what's the guy's name? Delirious.
Yeah.
He's like, because the way they pulled off the Pure Championship and the storytelling involved, he says Delirious should be the Booker of the Year because he was a fan of Ring of Honor. I forgot about that. So good call. Yeah. I mean, I guess they're already watching. They're just not watching it enough.
Well, I just think it's the guys that are the biggest and make the most loudest noise in the room. And if you're not accessible and you're not easy to watch, a lot of times you get left in the shuffle, and that's kind of accustomed to me being a New Japan fan. I had to go find it. It wasn't like something that I could just drop in my lap and start watching it, and it was easy to find. Kind of now, even with it being on Roku, it's a little bit easier, but it's not that much easier. So if you want to find quality wrestling, you have to go look for it. I know that you've done your own dives, Pete's done his own dives respectively.
Yeah.
We had to go find those good products. I mean, the low hanging fruit's there, but if you want quality stuff, you're going to have to go on your own and search for it. So that's kind of why I wanted to bring in to have you join this conversation to get your thoughts and opinions on this. Cause I think it's something that there's promise and potential with it, and it can only grow if they start really having people be champions of it, campaign for it, and talk about it and bring it into the conversation.
Well, it's funny because the other day, excuse me, I said, I came up with that cool kids wrestling thing, right, in my head, and I was thinking about doing a jab. And I was like, what's the alternative? What's the difference between cool kids wrestling and, like, is it classic wrestling? Is it old school wrestling? But you brought this to my attention today, the idea of pure wrestling. And I'm not saying it has to be pure matches in Ring of Honor specifically, but pure wrestling where we know what the hell it is, but we still want to see how the story is told, right? That is the antithesis. It's the opposite of cool kids wrestling or AEW, because AEW assumes we're all in on the joke, so it doesn't matter. But we're saying on the other side, the pure side or the classic side, that the way it plays out and how it happens and what matters is everything to us. You know what I mean? And I don't understand, you know, it's not a secret that one day I want to have my own promotion, or me and Pete are talking about starting our own promotion and have our own shows. Of course, not during this freaking pandemic, but eventually we'd like to have our own shows. And when we talk about it, the rules and the logic behind it is old school, you know, pure wrestling. You no crazy meteors off the top rope and kick out at one. You know what I mean? Like no crazy, you know, chair spots where you kick out at two, you know, and it was, I don't know who it was, but one of these old school guys complained or talked about how a DDT used to be a finisher and how a super kick used to be a finisher. And now they do it 2 or 3 times a match and people don't even stay down for a 1 count. And that's kind of where I'd like to get back to. And I feel like the Pure Championship was kind of a throwback, if you will, to some of the old school wrestling where we cared what happened and it mattered. There was mat wrestling and reversals and holds and locks. There were rope breaks, which I think I talked about. I don't know if we talked about this last time when I did that Boss Rutan video where I watched, was Boss Rutan as good as he said, as people say he was? And I was watching was it Pancrase? I forget what it's called, but they had one of those matches, one of the UFC, early UFC style of fights in Japan, where they had 3 rope breaks per match. And I watched this thing with Boss Rutan and I was like, oh, this is legit. This is as legit as it comes, where they had a limited number of rope breaks. Well, son of a biscuit. This is as real and as sports-based and as reality-based as it can get. So I think if people are tired of cool kids wrestling and all friends wrestling and insider wink wink wrestling, the closest thing to the old school throwback wrestling that we had is probably the Pure Championship and possibly Ring of Honor. I don't watch a lot of Ring of Honor, but I know I watched some of the Pure tournament, and that tournament was freaking fire. I also thought that NWA was another kind of a throwback thing, but that whole thing's on hold and all the videos were taken off of YouTube. So God only knows what's going to happen. So if you're a wrestling fan and you like seeing how the story is going to be told and not just being wink, wink, in on the gig or in on the joke, then yeah, I think the Pure tournament and Ring of Honor Pure Championship is probably the best thing smoking. I mean, I never watched the MLW.
That's kind of what I've enjoyed is there have been guys that have tried to participate in the tournament and it's helped identify them as heels. Because obviously if you can't follow the Pure rules and you were eliminated from the Pure tournament, well, then I don't want to be Pure. I want to be a heel. So then there you go.
True.
You're creating identities with people going, okay, especially with Gresham and the progression that they've done with Ring of Honor Wrestling. It's like, well, if you really want to challenge me, you're going to have to do some Pure tournament rule matches to get there, get some wins, to get my eye noticing you before I even challenge you for my title. You're going to have to prove to me that you can play in my sandbox.
Well, see, and that's just common sense, right? We want to know who the good guys and the bad guys are. We want to know who we should cheer for and who we should boo. And I know it's not always that simple because to a lot of people, Steve Austin probably looked like a bad guy. But then when you saw Vince McMahon come out and threaten to fire him, anybody who's ever had a job and a shitty boss is like, yo, screw that guy. Go Austin, stun him. And of course he did about 800 times, you know? But it's like, it should be easy. It shouldn't be so hard. We shouldn't have to do research to understand the stories and understand the people involved. We should be able to turn it on any given Wednesday or Friday or Monday and know what the hell is happening. Instead, we got more soap opera than fight. And then in AEW, we got more fight than soap opera, right? And we got just ridiculous, like I want to meet somewhere in the middle. Or better yet, let's put the soap opera in the match, right? Let's put the soap opera in the match. And then I'll care because I'll see it play out. You can take 2 guys, Bobby Eaton and freaking, I don't know, pick somebody else, a heel, and say, all right, you're going to, or Bobby Eaton was the heel, right? So you take somebody like, I don't know, I don't know a lot of old school wrestlers. I don't want to talk out of my butt, okay? But let's say Jerry Lawler, okay, and Coco Ware back in the day. And one guy's a good guy, one guy's a bad guy. Fight. Well, how do you know who to root for? Well, when this guy pulls a closed fist and punches that guy square in the face when the referee's back is turned, we know who's cheating. And we know that we don't like cheating, so we're going to boo that mofo right there. You know what I mean? Like,
or it brings out a buddy to the ring, and the buddy's distracting the ref, and then he hits him with a closed fist.
It is that damn simple. We have overcomplicated one of the most simple and pure art forms in the history of all mankind. It has been overcomplicated to the point where now we don't even want it to be complicated anymore. We're just saying, okay, we know it's all fake, so let's see who can do the most flips. And that is why I'm done with AE freaking W. So I'm out of energy. I've screamed enough about this crap. I've hollered, and I think you're probably tired of hearing me holler at you, but I think you feel the same way. You're just more calm than I am.
Well, I mean, the jab's your bit. It's just my bit is trying to just bring attention to things that get swept underneath the rug when it's the three loudest kids in the room are fighting. The ones that are silent and actually providing a good product are the ones that are usually forgotten about because, you know, the squeaky wheel gets the grease.
You're saying the Ring of Honor is the middle child of the family? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I would say so, at least in the American landscape, that a lot of people forget about it. And it's another one of those things where Ring of Honor, half of the fun of it is actually going to it live. I mean, I think they've survived the pandemic. They followed pandemic protocols, but there's something that is fun about going to Sam's Town and going to that Ring of Honor weekend, whether it's their anniversary show weekend or in September with Death Before Dishonor. There's just something that is very classic, nostalgic, going to an old school casino like Sam's Town, participating. It's like literally a cruise in the desert because all the wrestlers are there. You're there with the wrestlers. You're probably eating with them, bumping elbows at the buffet table. You're going to the shows. They know you're all there for the same reason, but you're there ultimately to have a good time. And the thing that got me when I first went to one of my shows, aside from the Elite, was that all the wrestlers came out at the end and were at least chatting with the fans, shaking hands. Some of the younger guys that were, you know, earning their way up in the system in the Ring of Honor dojo were coming out shaking hands that had dark matches, thanking for people to watch their dark match or whatever. Yeah, there was just something that was old school, that was genuine about it. They appreciated your time, your money, and traveling to go watch them.
Yeah. You said what do you call it? A cruise in the desert. And I thought of the Sarlacc pit, but that's another topic for another time.
Another galaxy, other place, far, far away.
Another thing we got to talk about is MLW, but that we got to do that at some point.
That's a whole discussion.
I don't know if you watch it. I've never watched a single minute of MLW, so maybe we should. Maybe we should watch some MLW and then talk about it next time. What do you think?
I think that's another thing. I think keeping this train going and MLW would be another one to discuss. I think you and Pete mutually talked about GCW. You've given it that spotlight. You've been there. You've been involved. You've been in the thick of it. You've been in the foxhole with those guys and helped and set up the product. But I think that us having this partnership where we can bring light to some other promotions that get left in the dark is important in the landscape of wrestling, especially you being who you are with going to the school, wanting to be a manager, wanting to be a commentator. I think that we can do a service by being fans and helping them out a lot of the times than just sitting there beating the dead horse, which is AEW.
And that's the problem, right? Like I told my son, you know, my kid, I was telling him like, yo, there's 10 million people that do a Raw recap every week. You know, there's 10,000 people that do an AEW recap every week. So there's no sense in covering the stuff that everybody else is covering. Covering things like Ring of Honor, MLW, or New Japan is what I think is going to get the most eyeballs, or at least, you know, for me selfishly on YouTube, whatever, but also for the people that are killing themselves every night for a, I don't know. I'm sure it's a decent paycheck, but it's not an AEW paycheck, and it's sure it's not a WWE paycheck. So I think the wrestlers and the talents deserve it. I think the promotions deserve it, and I think fans deserve it because that kind of work and that kind of entertainment is what most of us really want. Like I'm in a group on Facebook called, Cults of Cornette, and they're like, "Oh man, if only it was like the old days." And I'm like, "Yo, there's other stuff out there. You know, we keep talking about the big two, but there's other stuff out there." So I like this. This can be the Discover Other Crap show with, you know, Steve and the Jag. So we'll see what happens. But now I got to watch MLW, so I'm prepared next time. I'm not talking out of my butt.
Exactly. So we'll come back. We'll do some homework. We'll do some research. We'll get in the lab. So thanks for everybody for your time for this discussion. I know sometimes Chris and I get on a tangent, get on a train. We do what we do, but it's all in love for something that we enjoy because wrestling is an art form. You're never going to probably see us at a Shakespearean festival, but you'll definitely see us at a local Southern California show once things start to heal and open back up. Fingers crossed. So we get that SoCal scene. So Chris and Pete respectively can fulfill their dream of booking a show. I live in Orange County, so I shamefully want that as well, to go attend that and participate in that event. So thanks everybody for watching. If you enjoyed this, give it a like. If you're a wrestling fan, share it with the other wrestling fans, because we need to get the word out about other promotions. I'm a little engine that could. I could definitely use the help in the subscribe department. So with that said, Jag, next.
Everybody knows it ain't a secret. It's a work. It's a work.
What?
Yeah.
Where can they find you on your many monikers on your social media platforms?
Man, all you got to do is follow at AKA the Jag on Facebook, on Instagram, on Twitter. You got to follow at Dad Hates Anime if you want to hear me talk trash about anime. And most of all, you got to watch where this whole thing started at Make Me a Fan 316, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. It's all there. It's also on YouTube if you want to hear me talk more trash about AEW. Just search Make Me a Fan and check out some Jags jabs. Steve's there. We did a whole year in review of AEW. So check it out. And make sure you hit the button, you like, you subscribe, you follow, and you freaking share, because it's the only way we're going to be saved from Cool Kids Wrestling.
And as usual, I think it's only appropriate that we close the show with our traditional tagline. So when you're doing 80 super kicks and you want it to get it across, ladies and gentlemen, make sure that you always slap the leg.
Always. Sweet.